o'clock. We'll call the meeting to Clerk Slater, please call the roll.
Trustee Rissy.
Here.
Trustee Nordhook.
Here.
Supervisor Lesbrunz.
Here.
Treasurer Corsange.
Here.
Trustee Nordike.
Present.
Trustee Shipley.
Present and accounted for.
And Clerk Slater present.
Please rise if able for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is there a motion or discussion for approval of tonight's agenda?
Shipley makes a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Support. It's a motion by Trustee Shipley, supported by Treasurer Corsange to approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Article 4, approval of the Township Board minutes, from February 25th, 2026, both regular and closed session. Is there discussion or a motion?
I make a motion to approve the Township Board meeting, regular minutes and the closed session minutes.
Support.
It's a motion by Trustee Shipley, supported by Clerk Slater to approve those minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Article 5, we have one presentation this evening. We have an update from Troyer Group and also Native Edge, who are the designers and the team, also Police and Vandenberg Engineering, who together are working on the Tuffy Burberg's Tassel Park project. This is a cornerstone project for the larger village area. Welcome, Mr. Reese, John, Wes. Thank you.
Good evening. All right. Good evening. So it's been a few months since we kind of last presented and wanted to give an update on the project and process since then. So the design that we presented and was discussed a few months ago is largely the same. We've been kind of working to integrate feedback from the board, the DDA, and the public from the meetings we had late last fall. We've made some of those updates and then also worked to kind of look at efficiencies and way to control the costs and kind of scale back some of the things while trying to maintain a lot of the ideas and impact that we wanted this park to have. So just kind of quickly to repeat, the main part of the park where the Tuffy parcel is, with the demolition of that building and then the parking area, we can create this sunken plaza area that'll be down closer to the level of the riverfront boardwalk. So that will allow to expand the park space and also keeping that lower from Cascade Road will act as a buffer, both physically, but also for noise from the road and intersection. There'll still be a small upper plaza for visual appeal for that corner of the park. One of the other major improvements is the parking area in Thornapple River Drive, being able to get the parking out of the park and add angled parking that's along Thornapple River Drive, but separated from the traffic lanes. We've been working with the road commission and they like this idea. So we're working on finalizing this, but this allows about 50% more parking than what's there, but also can get the parking out of the central park area that's so valuable for the recreational amenities. And then another major improvement is along the riverfront, being able to have a boardwalk kind of along that entire riverfront, making it accessible for all residents, be a great improvement because a lot of that area isn't accessible for everyone right now. And with that, kind of cleaning things up from vegetation, improving sight lines to the river, as well as for security, integrating lighting throughout the park, as well as cameras to help with the safety and being able to have this used all times of the day and year. One of the other key items is the acquisition of the Verberg parcel. With that, it allows us to have a underpass for pedestrians underneath the bridge. So there's a ADA compliant walkway that connects to the trail that would go down the Verberg parcel under the bridge and connect to the park. So this would be awesome to be able to connect neighborhoods, across the river that can take the trail, as well as neighborhoods up to the northwest. I think that was the major elements overall. So here's kind of an enlarged plan for that sunken plaza area. Again, this will be about 10, 11 feet below the intersection grade to kind of really create that nice atmosphere. Having a lawn area with some seating areas, a natural playground, and a splash pad. One of the items that we integrated, we heard a lot from the public, was the current splash pad. Everyone loved it. It's decommissioned right now and can't be used, so it'd have to be replaced. So we brought that into this plaza area to be near the adjacent natural playground, the seating areas, and kind of in this enclosed space that makes it safe for families and children. One of the other updates, the letter J, the pavilion there, before we kind of talked about a larger cottage structure, trying to accomplish a lot of the same goals, but saving some cost doing a pavilion with restrooms, and then there'll be a mechanical and pump room for the splash pad. But this would still be able to be a rentable space, looking at ways to kind of make that a 3 or 4 season use with enclosing and heating, and open up for rentals, township events, programs, and things like that. Here's kind of some plans for what that pavilion could look like. Again, you kind of see that enclosed restrooms area, and then the area that'll be open with views to the river and the plaza. That'll just be a great space to enjoy the park, and kind of some unique architectural elements well. To kind of get a feel for some of the vision, you can see the lower boardwalk along the river. Some renderings here that can kind of show what that would look like. Again, kind of keeping that within a couple feet of existing grade, so we don't have to have railings throughout that area, but keeping that elevated and easy to maintain, and making it accessible along the entire riverfront. In the bottom middle is kind of an example of what the underpass could look like. And then just some examples for railings. One of the things we talked about was lighting, having that different elements of lighting throughout the park for just visibility, security, but also some interesting ways to kind of do accent lighting in some of the key areas of the park as well. Another kind of priority feature of the park is just providing more seating and seating options. There's a lot of different, whether it's the sunken plaza or riverfront views, different places in the park that kind of would respond to different seating uses. So talking about some bench swings overlooking the river, Adirondack chairs, and then different tables and chair ensembles that can be used in the sunken plaza area. Looking at ways to make them durable, easy to maintain, things that aren't loose that can be picked up and thrown in the river or things like that. But and then looking at seat walls for some of the planters, trying to have that fieldstone look that's prominent in the park right now. And then here are a few renderings that just kind of give a 3D look into the park improvements. The one in the upper left is as you're kind of walking down that main curved walkway towards the river, looking out into that sunken plaza. You can kind of see natural playground and splash pad in that central lawn area. And then in the upper right is kind of looking back up towards the view from the upper left, where you can see that kind of the grade difference and how that sunken plaza area can feel. And then the bottom ones, kind of getting a feel for that riverfront area, improving the boardwalk, the pavilion, gazebo and that space, kind of the sloped lawn area between the gazebo and pavilion. That'd be a great space to just put down a blanket and overlook the river. And looking at costs, we had kind of broken the park up into these areas to kind of help understand where the dollars are going. We had the initial plan that was village master plan that had allocated around 10 million as an estimate for the park. So working to try to meet that with also adding the Verberg site. So that wasn't part of the original plan, but thankfully that became available and I think is a key feature to the success of this park in this area. So as you can see, the Verberg site adds about $1 million to the project costs for both the demolition of the building, the excavation, and then the improvements of the boardwalk, walkway, and plantings in that area. Apple River Drive and parking, about 1.8 million for those renovations. The riverfront area, which is all of the boardwalks, some different plazas, seating options, kayak launch, planting restoration in that area, about 1.65. The kind of main central area of the existing park, 1.25 million. And again, that's a lot for replacing sidewalk, lighting, electrical, some money in there for kind of upgrades to the Wisner Pavilion and the restroom. We at one point talked about heating the existing restroom building, but looking at that further to meet codes would be pretty expensive to add the insulation and things needed. So with the new restrooms down in the sunken plaza that could be heated for 4 seasons, that was taken out of the project to heat those restrooms. Let's see. And then the kind of, the big major element for this project, of course, the Tuffy parcel with the sunken plaza and pavilion, around 3.2 million for that. Again, that includes the demolition of the Tuffy pavement and excavation of the material that's in there. So all in all, about $9 million for the park with Verberg. And then we have a 15% contingency just for kind of still unknowns at this point earlier in the design with a 10.35 total. And then looking at schedule, we have kind of one of the critical paths for the schedule for this project is the construction in a floodway permit from Eagle. That application has been submitted. We've had a meeting on site with them after submittal. So far things are going well. They didn't have major concerns, but it's still a, it could be a 9-month process. So in order to try to get some of this work going this year, we looked at doing a kind of phase 1 bid package and phase 2, with the first portion being the demolition of the Verberg and doctor's office buildings, and then the pavement on those sites, and then also improving the parking in Thornapple River Drive area. So all of this work is outside of the floodway and wouldn't have those restrictions and could be bid and constructed sooner. And then the goal would be for that first package to go out to bid in June, start construction in August, and finish by the end of the season in November. And then the bid package 2 released for bidding November or this fall. So it's ready to start construction in February. So it kind of seems like a seamless construction where this first phase is going till winter, and then kind of as soon as we're able can pick up in the spring. So it's kind of one seamless construction period, even though it could be broken into two bid packages. There's still some, things that we need to get confirmed with the road commission and with the utility company on Thornapple River Drive for the power poles. Make sure that their schedule could meet what we're trying to do. But that communication has been ongoing and progressing, so we're hopeful that that would be able to happen in time. So that's anything that you guys think of I forgot. Otherwise, take questions for the entire presentation. Didn't mean to blow through that quickly, but happy to revisit any of the slides for discussion.
Yeah, I have a question. I realize these are just renderings, but in this picture with the four, this is looking from the corner where Tuffy is,
Yeah, it's kind
park, and this is looking out to where Tuffy was.
kind of to the existing drive into the park. So at Thornapple River Drive, so let's see.
It's more from around the corner as you start to walk down.
Can you see the
versus
cursor?
corner.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that rendering is taken from right about here where my cursor is. That upper left rendering,
Okay, yep.
looking down into the
Yep.
park. And then the second one is from here looking up kind of to that same area.
Oh, okay. Okay,
So the wall isn't quite as tall there as it would be for the fountain in the plaza,
see.
because that walk is starting to come down around.
okay. Thank you.
Yep. All right,
The plans are beautiful, so nice.
Yes.
nice.
thank you.
I think it was well done. A couple of questions. What is the approximate price of the pavilion?
I believe that was around 750,000,
Okay.
which could include some heated pavement for that area and heating within the structure. And then we're looking at some options for enclosure from, vinyl roll screens up to like sliding doors. That would be more of a kind of permanent enclosure to make it more of a four-season building. But it's kind of in that 600 to 750 range, depending on some of those options.
Got it. Thank you for that. My other question is, if you were asked to reduce the budget by $2 million, what are the fewest number of things that could be removed to achieve that?
Well, we have been working to reduce this over the past month or two, trying to gain some efficiencies. We still have a fair amount of money in for like lighting and electrical. I know that was something from the DDA that was important to them, but when we get into it more, understanding, what existing could be reused or replacing everything. And then overall, just the plantings that are throughout the park and how much, we need to have enough to make it look nice. We also have that to add a lot of ecological value to the riverfront, both along the shoreline and up in the Verberg site. I think it's a huge environmental improvement to have, runoff with the native plantings compared to what's there. So there's a lot of important things that I think this park is doing besides the recreational aspect. But, and then, we had that contingency in there. So looking at drainage and some of the things like that, ways to make that more efficient. I think, 2 million would be a challenge to take off that much without losing, some of the important elements of the park. But as we're designing this, we're going to keep looking for efficiencies to hopefully, not eat into that contingency and keep that price lower.
And the pavilion is what's currently where the doctor's office is, right?
Correct.
And essentially, tell me if I'm wrong, but when you scale it back, you've got what in the pavilion?
There's 2 restrooms and then the mechanical room that would be for those restrooms and the splash pad and water feature. And then the open seating area, was it 35 people roughly, if you had kind of 6 tables of 6. So depending on, how
So
the
that could be
tables
a
are.
rentable space.
Yeah, and
Yes.
it was I think initially they had it as a building, but to scale costs down, it really became more,
I like it open.
and it's cheaper.
Yeah, because the building, I think, we had estimated it, a couple months ago at like 1.7 or 1.8 million, because it had the building, but then there was also the porch area, so the square footage of everything together just got pretty big. Yeah, so there was a good saving and still be able to kind of accomplish a lot of the goals for rentability and use.
I have one more question. Will any trees be removed? Or how many trees might be removed?
So I can let Wes
Wes
expand
needs
on
to
this
answer
one, but the sunken plaza area, a lot of those trees will be removed by the Tuffy site to make that work.
Sure.
But the majority of the trees we're trying to keep. All of the good species, some of the invasive species, this is a good opportunity to remove them, or the ones that are potentially a hazard, if not now, a few years from now, but
Right.
kind of
Thank
expand
you.
on that.
Yeah, that's, I think I can speak loud enough to get captured by the mic. Yeah, that's, the same as we did here at Friendship Park. I mean, the trees that are gonna be coming down are gonna be invasive, problematic species anyway. So that's a good thing to know when we're engaging with the public, because they're gonna have concerns with any trees coming down. Up around the Tuffy site, it's all Siberian elm. I mean, almost all of it. So it's just an invasive nuisance tree that's gonna cause nothing but maintenance issues. So those types of trees will come down. We went and did a detailed tree survey and vegetation survey throughout the park. So off the top of my head, I can't think of any valuable species that are coming down. There's a few smaller trees that are actually going to be relocated as part of the project. So yeah, only nuisance species are going to be removed unless absolutely critical to the design. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
There are some areas here that I think are great. I want to say they're out of the park, but that's probably not the right analogy to use. Your waterfront enhancements are cool. I love the parking along the road. The pavilion looks good. I like the fact you're keeping the trees in the original part of the park. I think if it were my choice, but it's not me, but I would recommend where you have I think if it were me, I would have that area. I'm assuming that's grass down there where you have the wall side seat or bench side seating there. I'd probably still stick a couple of tables down there because people love to sit by the water and eat their lunch and spend time in that area. That's been a popular spot at Tassel Park, and to not have tables near the water down there, I think would
Good point.
I think that would be great, and maybe that's a cost savings. I don't know. And then I look at this, and I know Dan and his crew is up to the task, but there's a lot of area to maintain here, and if we did try to look at ways to streamline some things, I think, like, for instance, your path R for your emergency vehicles there, if it were me, I'd consider maybe getting rid of those 2 island beds in the middle there and just having it be one path down. I think if you lost that, it wouldn't detract too much from the park to lose those beds in the middle of that sidewalk, so to speak. If you were looking at scaling some things, maybe you can make the areas on the sides of that a little bigger then. I don't know, but just my comments from looking at it for 5 minutes.
Yep, thanks. And, maintenance, of course, is critically important to this and something we've been talking about with Dan and the township staff, getting a plan together so it's very clear what maintenance needs will need to occur from, landscape to fountains to paving or plowing, seasonally. So we're kind of getting all of that together and then making sure that there's a way to make that happen through budgeting for additional needs and what the township staffs can handle.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll start with saying I'm very appreciative to the changes that you guys have made in the plan. I think that since we saw this plan the first time out 6 months ago, maybe that we saw the original. Just appreciative when we talk about reducing cost. I mean, I think I vaguely remember, it seems like you've reduced like $5 million or close to that. in
About
this-
4 million, yep.
Yeah, from the original design. So when we talk about a couple million now, I think that you have done a really good job in reducing the cost. The second piece is just incorporating public feedback. I think that's a huge piece. I know originally I don't think that we had a very big splash pad, and I think that that was a huge piece of public comment that you guys had received at several of the other open houses, that, you know, the public really wanted that splash pad feature. And so to incorporate that back in and to put it in an area where you're already doing work, so it just makes more sense financially to put it in those areas, is great. I think that keeping the majority of the existing park, I think that was another big comment that I was at the last open house as well, and listening with you guys, and hearing public feedback about keeping a lot of the existing park is how it is. But then optimizing the riverfront, which right now there's a bunch of junk and garbage down by there, and just really, you know, focusing on that too, and opening that up and making it a lot nicer. And then, of course, you know, the Tuffy site, the doctor's office site, and the former Verberg site, we have to do this piece with them. So I think just incorporating, you know, doing minimal work there. I mean, there's a ton that needs to be done with all the excavating that needs to go on in those areas. There's tons of work that needs to happen, but then incorporating that into stuff that the public wants and the public needs, and then the underground or the under Cascade Road Trailway is really important, because that's been a huge concern with the residents for years and years and years, is a safe passage across Cascade Road. So thank you guys for that. And then the only other thing that I'm going to put you on the spot is that we have people here. So I think it's important to talk about the funding for this project. I think there's a lot of things on social media and different things about the township and our money and how we're spending it. And just, I think Grace has got a whole spiel on the DDA funding, that the DDA is funding this project. So
Facts, not
Yeah.
really spiel, it's more like facts.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I just think it's important, since we have people here, to just explain, we're talking very large dollar amounts, and for you to explain that that's not coming out of necessarily the township budget, but where that's money coming from with the DDA.
So this is, Jade, correct me if I'm off at all, but the plan is 100% a DDA funded project, and the Downtown Development Authority is a tool that was created by the state back when downtowns and local village areas started eroding because of the big box stores and expressways and traffic patterns. So what they did is they allowed, it's a tool for local municipalities to create a geographic area, and then you're allowed to recapture a certain amount, a small portion of the tax dollars from that geographical area, provided that the money is spent in that area to promote a more viable downtown area. You can't spend it outside of that area. You can't spend it on other projects. So we've had questions about, you know, we've got PFAS, my neighborhood's got PFAS, and you're spending $5 million on millions of dollars in a park. It's a good question. It's a fair question. But the dollars for Friendship Park, that new area in front of the library, and along with the large state grant, were DDA dollars. So again, that was money that was recaptured from this set geographical area that had to be reinvested into this area. And then also the dollars for the pedestrian bridge over the Thornapple River and Cascade. That was Downtown Development Authority dollars combined with the state grant. That wasn't tax dollars from residents. And then the plan for Tuffy would be also that it's 100% funded by those DDA dollars.
Yeah, and I just want to say, I think as a resident of Cascade, I think our DDA is not here, but it's super encouraging that our DDA is willing to spend DDA funding in a way that also benefits our residents, to help get our residents downtown Cascade into the village, to spend some money and to visit local businesses and to, you know, do what's really important. You know, there's a lot of things that they could spend this money on it runs all the way down the Cascade or the 28th Street corridor, all the way to Kentwood.
So
And so the fact that the DDA is really encouraged about this project and wanting to do something that incorporates our residents, our local residents with the businesses within the village area, I think is super exciting.
the other projects that have been helpful, so the part of the reason that the Cascades DDA is well funded is because when they did establish it, the geographic boundary is huge. It goes all the way along 28th Street to the edge, along Patterson at the edge of the township. But then the question is how to use those recapture dollars. And one of the big issues for businesses on further out 28th Street were really safety issues. So what we've done for those was increased sheriff patrol. So hours of sheriff patrol and also the hotel ordinance, kind of proactively getting that tool to really cut down crime. And then for the village area, kind of making this a cornerstone. In the past, before my time, the D-Day, one of the large priorities was the bus, the rapid bus, but that didn't seem to have, that was very expensive, but it didn't seem to bring in the community benefit. So that would cover funding if there are additional questions. I like how you guys have tried very hard to keep it natural and focus on the emphasize the river and the natural space and the landscaping. A lot of times it seems like we keep getting these designs that have man-made objects plunked down, and it's kind of the designers, it's all about the stuff they're putting in, but I like how you've done really, the emphasis is kind of on emphasizing what's already there and pulling out that, making it a reusable space without making it seem like it's something that you could just put anywhere, but instead thinking about what we've got and amplifying the kind of the natural beauty that's already there. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you know, it's been, I think, one of the good kind of design challenges to really make this cascade. And being a resident of, you know, kind of seeing what that is and what this can be. You know, it's a landscape architect, we go to conferences and you see all the newest and greatest things and the different modern benches and amenities and all this stuff. And, you know, through the early meetings and feedback we've heard from all of you and the public, it's really helped, I think, really nail the feel and the atmosphere for this park to make it really fit this space in this community.
I like how you've incorporated kind of, it's a place for all ages, but they kind of intermixed, you know, so the splash pad, the seating areas, different ages, everyone can enjoy it. It's accessible to everybody, but it's kind of blends. I appreciate it. You've done a nice job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And,
Thank
yeah,
you.
appreciate all of your feedback and support over the last 6 months for this project. Is certainly incredibly exciting for professionally and as a resident. Thank you.
Plus, we know you live down the road, so we'll be able to
I'll be there all the time.
squeeze extra work out of you. Jane, what are the next steps then as far as finalizing the design and then after that?
If you can go to that last slide. So Lorna's here tonight too to speak to this, but the intent for funding this project from the beginning has been to bond. I've got a sheet here I'm handing out, plus it's on the screen. So this goes through the process of that bonding process. So we wouldn't be incurring all of this debt and funding this project at once, but it would be, we would incur debt for the DDA. And this lays that out. So our next steps would actually be to start that process. With the construction starting in June, this was put together to kind of mirror or coexist at the same time. So I'm not going to walk through all the steps, but it is to start this process, which does take some board action. You would have to award the, and I forget where it is on here. Do you want to walk us through this, Lorna?
Sure. Thank you, Jade. Using the concept of construction starting in mid-July, we put this document together while the design of the park was being worked on. So we'll definitely consider the split construction seasons when we update this document. But right now it's looking at late March, from now through late March, we'll finish assembling the bond finance team. When the board approved a resolution so that we can bond to recover the Verberg property, the dollars the DDA spent just to acquire that property. When the board approved that resolution, that same resolution appointed Foster Swift as our bond counsel. So that's one major part of the team that's been set. In the next couple of weeks, I have an RFP on the street to a few select vendors, which our purchasing policy allows, because this is a professional service. We're looking for a a financial advisor or a municipal bond advisor. They go by many words. And that one of the candidates for that position is PFM. So I want to call out that this is a document that an advisor put together as a courtesy. In the next couple weeks, I say I'll receive bids from a couple municipal bond advisors and make a suggestion in April to the DDA board and also the township board of who to engage. And once we get that team together, they will be hard at work on the April through July. All of the details you see here, a couple of them. When you see this document in the future, we'll try to call out board action, what board meetings we intend to bring what resolutions to. Because I say right now, this is very preliminary. And of course, subject to different design or construction schedules. Sorry, I'm rambling a little bit, but
So I think the important thing
We're
for
good
the
at
board is this is the process that goes through, but there's a couple of key components and that will come back before this body to approve. One is the municipal bond advisor and one is when they adopt the authorizing resolution to actually bond. So there may be one other in there that I'm missing, but that will only be before you a couple of times to make that, and we'll continue to work.
And this is the same process we did for Fire Station 1 bonding process, just a standard public bond process.
I would assume so.
The only difference is this is for DDA, 100% DDA dollars,
Correct.
general township dollars.
so with that, there may be an extra step that we're talking about two boards and two authorizings, but
What about
just paperwork.
was this considered this potential expense? Talk about it as, if you don't mind, with the 2026 budget adoption and approval by the board.
Yes, thank you, Supervisor. The capital improvement project has a $15 million placeholder because we didn't have the details, but we knew the DDA was looking at this large project. So I say the CIP document had a $15 million placeholder, and that placeholder is part of the 2026 budget. So the DDA does have a revenue line of $15 million of bond proceeds. It also has an expenditure line of $15 million of capital outlay. Those numbers were put in not as an indication of what I personally thought this project was going to cost. It was a function of looking at the DDA's finances and backing into a dollar amount that we believe the DDA could afford, could cover conservatively. They don't want to put a number out there, and then when we really ran the numbers, couldn't make it happen.
That $15 million earmark in the 2026 budget that was adopted by the board, does that obligate those dollars to be that amount?
Not at all.
Great. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for doing the open house beforehand.
Yes, there was great turnout and a lot of good comments and feedback. Yeah,
Very
worked
positive.
well.
So, sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to make something clear because I know we have a lot of residents that recently were told they can't drink their water anymore. And I think some of them are hoping or maybe even expecting the township to step up in some way to help them with that. And so we're talking about borrowing a large sum of money. And I know all of these residents are paying taxes, and millages and things, and a little bit of that funds the DDA. There's no way that we can use DDA money to extend water to any residents legally.
Correct.
That's correct, right?
Certainly not outside. Whatever,
Outside of the DDA.
not only that, but outside of the development plan itself, right?
Right. Okay. I just think it's important for them to know that this is not, that the money that would be borrowed for this project would be paid for by money that the DDA collects. And in no way can those funds be used to solve the water problem.
Right, and that's why I threw that question to her, was for that exact point, was I want people to understand where this money is coming from and why it can't be used in other ways.
Right. But I think the part that might have been missed there, and that's why I wanted to clarify, is that some of the money that's collected from people's tax bills goes to the DDA.
But it can't
No.
be
No.
used outside.
No, that's not true.
No, it is true because you have parks millage, you have a pathway millage.
The
Wait, let him
dollar,
finish. Does he think we have a DDA millage? Like, finish talking.
that is a tax capture of a certain geographic area. The Downtown Development Authority is a geographic area of local businesses that the township sets that geographic border. So I guess if there's a resident, there's a one condo association and a couple apartment complexes that are in that DDA district. So that would apply. That's not they don't have the PFAS issue right now.
Someone living in Hidden Hills, a portion of their,
No,
well, they pay a pathway millage.
yeah, but they don't, I'm sorry.
A
no
portion
DDA
of
down-
millages, a small portion of all millages paid in the township, except for I believe the library millage, gets put into it funds of DDA. That's how it's set up in the state of Michigan. Am I wrong?
No, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
No, Scott, I'm trying to help you. I apologize for I don't understand what you're,
I'm just trying to make it clear because if there's a person out there that lives in one of these neighborhoods that has an issue now because they can't drink their water,
right.
I want them to understand that any action we take on this is not in any way preventing the township from being able to help them later. In other words, any money that they're paying in to the DDA through their tax bill, I don't want to have residents standing here saying, well, you built this park and now I can't get water. They're unrelated. I'm just trying to make it crystal clear. I'm elaborating essentially on what you said.
And just so,
That's-
how is a resident in Hidden Hills funding the DDA? Because the DDA it's a tax capture from a portion of dollars.
So if you recall back when the fire millage was passed a year and a half ago, there was a caveat in that language that said a portion of that millage was going to go back to the DDA. I don't remember what that dollar amount was.
It's very small.
It's very small, but there is, for all the millages we have, there is language in that, and it was put out there for everyone to see. But there is money that does go back to the DDA from those millages. And I don't know the history. Lorna may know more of the reason why.
All right. The DDA captures taxes that are realized on the increased value over time on parcels that are in the DDA district. So if Hidden Hills is in the DDA district, I see that Hidden Hills is not in DDA. So no, none of the money that a resident in Hidden Hills, none of those dollars go to the DDA. The
So, Mike,
DDA
can you
captures.
expand on that? And I may have to get a clearer answer for you because there was language in the millage language that talked about dollars going back to the DDA.
Correct. And generally speaking, when you have an extra voted millage applied in the DDA, they will capture a part of that millage, whatever the purpose, except for libraries, which changed, I think, in 2017.
So I just want to clarify what you're saying. It's all millages that fund something within the DDA capture a small portion, because our pathways fund things all over the township. Would that capture a small portion to go back to the DDA?
For those properties within, because you're applying
Within the DDA?
Yeah, so you're applying that extra voted millage on those properties in the DDA, and the DDA captures a portion.
Right. So if I live outside of the DDA and you are you're got a millage for for the pathways, am I paying extra to the DDA?
No.
That's what
So
Grace is saying.
a portion of that millage doesn't, I thought there was a little tiny.
Only if you
Only,
been,
only applied to those properties within the DD.
yeah, so if I'm within the DDA and I'm paying increased tax because of a millage, a portion of that increased tax is going to the DDA if I'm with. But if I'm outside the DDA, it's not going.
I misunderstood. I thought that a small portion on the whole millage, like for instance, Jay brought up the fire millage and it mentions that DDA portion. I thought that was everybody paying in, paid that little sliver, and that's what funded it. Thank you.
There are certain things that they can't capture, like money that would go for schools, right, Lorna? There's
Schools, state education tax, district libraries, yes.
Quick point. Municipalities can absolutely contribute part of their general fund or to a DDA. It's my understanding this municipality does not. Is that accurate, Lorna? Let me rephrase. Does this municipality contribute anything from its general fund to its DDA?
Oh, absolutely not.
Thank
Our DDA is, yes.
DDA.
Sure. We have the ability to contribute to it. I'm not suggesting we do. I just wanted to be clear that we don't.
Correct. And actually the opposite of that, the DDA pays back to the general fund for some of the work that the general fund
Yeah.
pays for within the DDA, meaning plow service, parks that are within the DDA, like Tassel Park, the maintenance of that park moving forward and the current maintenance will come from the DDA budget.
Sure. No, it's just, and I get it early on in DDAs because it's a function of the property increases, right? That's how DDA is funded through a TIF, right?
Correct.
So early on, municipalities have and do fund it from their general fund. I'm just indicating it's not happening here. Okay.
great. Thanks. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Article 6, public comments on anything on tonight's agenda that's not scheduled for a public hearing. So that would include the Round Hill Planned Unit Development Update, Ordinance Enforcement Partnership with Kent County Sheriff's Department, Independence Day contracts, also some road improvements for 2026, and also the reinstatement of the private roads and subdivision ordinances given the recent referendum by some for
Would
the,
that include the West Tassel Park that we just talked about?
I think so, yes.
It does?
Talk about that now?
No, we could, I think since we just had a presentation on it, yes.
Okay, great. My name is Kenneth Carey. I live at 2929 Thornapple River Drive. I also own a lot that's 2923 adjacent to my property. I'm thrilled to see this project. As a matter of fact, I'm disappointed that it's being scaled back. I think the plans prior to this with the winding river going down both sides, I thought that was spectacular. And I've spoken quite a few times before on this, but back in May of 2017, the Michigan Redevelopment Corporation, that's from the state of Michigan, put on a presentation here for the former board that was here. And their point was, Les Tassel Park was here already, but their point was, what are you waiting for here in Cascade? You don't really have a village, and we still don't have a village. You have the 28th Street corridor. That's always going to be the 28th Street corridor. Every time I come to a meeting and hear somebody complain about Tommy's Car Wash being on 28th Street, 28th Street is 28th Street. You're not going to change it. But the point being, when the Redevelopment Ready Association or Corporation came in, they said, you need a village and you've got a riverfront, you've got a park. What are you waiting for? The state was waiting to throw money at this. Their only requirement was that the community had to be redevelopment ready certified. Once that was accomplished, and the board started that procedure, I believe they got well over halfway through it before somehow it got stopped. So we're talking about finances here, scaling back this park when actually it should be increased to a grander scale. They're waiting to throw money at this project. And all you have to do is finish certification. And I'm sure that the same rules apply. They would love to get involved here. I live directly across from the center of West Castle Park. And I am deeply disappointed that my properties weren't included in the village core. One of them, there was an ordinance where I spoke with Grace earlier that we have to nail down on an ordinance that was changed that eliminates me from being able to convert my spare lot to office commercial, anything other than retail commercial. So we've got a problem that we're going to iron out on that. I'll probably speak later on that. But not being in the village core, the Michigan Redevelopment Corporation's idea was to have a gaslight village through here. And for 50 years, I've dreamt of this happening. I really want to see this happen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Josh Jordan, 5479 Whispering Timbers Drive. Ronald Reagan used to say that a bureaucrat is the only person who can see a perfectly good solution and successfully find a problem for it. Tonight, we were being shown a beautiful multi-million-dollar park proposal slated to be started in 3 months, and yet, as I stand here, I'm not sure anyone in this room can exactly say 100% certain which zoning ordinance will actually be following by June. It is a strained logic to demand less time to study the complexity of data centers while simultaneously claiming we need more time for the zoning ordinance, only to turn around and sign petitions to repeal the very ordinance passed by the people's representatives. We cannot claim to want the right language for our future while we are busy dragging us back to a 50-year-old zoning ordinance. It isn't about perfection. It's about creating a regulatory vacuum that only the developers in the wings are waiting in the wings. As a libertarian, I believe in property rights, but I also believe in a level playing field. We shouldn't be rushing to accommodate the industrial centers the same way without the scrutiny we apply to the zoning ordinance. If we need 6 months to study how many more houses can fit in a private road, we certainly need at least 12 months to ensure we aren't creating a red herring that is diverting our attention from the battle to update a 51-year-old zoning ordinance. Furthermore, we are looking at business item resolution 11/2026 regarding Sentinel Point. We are only here discussing that because a developer failed to do their job properly the first time. We are being asked to amend an ordinance to fix a private sector shortcut. This is the special interest game in a nutshell. Developers want higher density for their profit, but they want the township to provide a regulatory bailout when their plans, shortcuts, and substandard work don't work. If we want to protect property values, we protect standards. We don't lower them because a developer has 3 open lots they can't sell. I urge the board to maintain the 12-month moratorium on data centers and stop rewarding developer shortcuts. Fight to adopt the past standard, hold real estate and development special interest accountable. Do not support or sign a petition to repeal the ordinance. You get your turn with your vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi there, Scott Vince Olkema again. So the zoning ordinance that was passed last month is getting challenged by an undisclosed entity, unless you guys are going to let us know that. According to the packet, that notice of intent was filed March 19th. So 8 days, no, little typo there, Jade? Okay. So due to that, you now have to rescind the updated zoning ordinances while they challenge that to go to a vote of the people. From the rules that I read online, that they have 30 days to get 15% of the 12,065 voters for governor in 2022. Is that correct, Sue? Yes. Thank you. So that's a minimum of 1,810 signatures. So my question is, are you going to release who or what entities are pushing for this referendum? Next topic is the sheriff department will be doing the zoning and ordinance enforcement. Since it's 2026 now, who has been enforcing the ordinances for the past decade or so? The township just recently had a job posting online for the zoning and code enforcement administrator. Some of those were to write citations and everything. So is that job just no longer going to happen? Or I see it's off the website now. So I was just curious as to who's been enforcing the rules. A lot of time, and also, will this cost us more money, the township, in regards to sheriff's department? I believe we had budgeted around $750,000 for this year, maybe more or less, or right around that area. But again, tackling more duties onto police officers, they don't really like it. Also, having done this job in the past, in my former career, a lot of people don't like having a police officer show up regarding to mow their grass or deal with a camper in their front yard or an unregistered vehicle or what have you. They feel intimidated by the uniform and a gun and all that. So maybe that's not the right venue to take or the right thing to do to have, have the police officer show up. Granted, yes, ordinances are technically crimes, but they're more very civil in nature, and people don't like to be told what to do on their land. So just throwing that out there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jeff Dion, just wanted to thank everybody for putting yourself out there and making these changes for our community. It's tremendous. It's just really, really positive. So these are all things that everyone have talked about for years. I know it's hard to get over the finish line, everything, and what you're doing. It's just great. So we're excited about it. I know my family's excited about it, and I'm sure talking to my neighbors, they're excited about it as well. So it's a great focal point for our community, the park itself, and all the other things you do. So great putting in the effort, because I know it takes a lot of effort to do what you're doing. One quick thought on the park. I don't know, we're a huge fishing family. I've never known this. Maybe Scott has a history, but there's a fish ladder next to the dam. It's falling apart. I look at it all the time. We go there in the fall because we go to a community called Lowell, and we go fishing in the river for salmon, and we look at those trout migrating there, and it's the coolest thing for kids. I don't know why we can't apply for some trout unlimited dollars. It's just extra money, or applying for other grants right now may be helpful, because it could pay for your staircase down the side of that thing where you're putting concrete in anyway, and get some funding from the DNR. I know I pay a ton of money in permits for hunting and fishing, and be great to get a little bit of that back in our community. So if you could look at that, and then maybe reach out to Ada, because they're doing a ton of stuff with their community as well. And if we could have those salmon and steelhead and fish come up the river, that'd be great. I know it's probably worried about invasive species, but they're already there. We catch them off our dock. So if we could look into that a little bit, I think any money you can help fund your project would be great. And I think it would just be a wonderful thing if the kids could go down there and see that happening in the fall, because it's such a neat experience. Plus, you'd see them in the riverfront in front of the park, those fish, if we could get them to migrate up there. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone virtually? Any other public comments at this time? Article 7, approval of the consent agenda. Motion or discussion?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented in order to pay the normal bills. Support.
It's a motion by trustee Shipley, supported by trustee Nordhook, to approve the consent agenda as presented. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Financial actions, Article 8. Motion or discussion?
Make a motion to approve financial actions.
Support.
It's a motion by treasurer Corsange, supported by trustee Nordhook, to approve tonight's financial actions. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Article 9, unfinished business, resolution 010-2026. Consider approval of an ordinance to impose a moratorium on the issuance of permits, licenses, or approvals for data centers. Manager Smith, kick that to you before we have Attorney Homier or flesh it out? Questions,
Sure.
concerns?
This is the adoption of the moratorium. Just want to make sure everybody realizes that at the last meeting it was requested to go from 12 months to 6 months, and that is reflected in this action item.
With potential for a 6-month extension.
Yeah.
When would the moratorium take effect if it were approved tonight?
Let me tell you. Hold on. It's in the packet.
So it would take effect, because the police power ordinance, it would take effect one day following publication of the notice of adoption, which would have to be published within 30 days.
Of the board approval?
Correct.
Make a motion for the resolution to approve ordinance to impose moratorium on the issuance of data centers.
Support.
Additional discussion? It's a motion by trustee Rizzi, supported by treasurer Corstange, to approve the ordinance imposing a moratorium on the issuance of permits, licenses, or approvals for data centers. Clerk Slater, please call the roll.
Trustee Shipley,
Yes.
trustee Nordike,
Yes.
treasurer Corstange,
Yes.
trustee Nordhook,
Yes.
trustee Rissy,
Yes.
clerk Slater, yes, supervisor Lesbrunz.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you, Mike, for that, and then I'm sure we'll hear from the subcommittee and staff on the actual detailed ordinance with data centers soon. Article 10, new business, resolution 011-2026. Consider approval of the resolution introducing an ordinance to amend ordinance number 1 of 1980, the Sentinel Point PUD, otherwise known as a planned unit development as presented, which is specifically, that would be the Round Hill planned unit development. Manager Smith, I know we're without our planner tonight, but we'll kick it to you. And
Yep. So this is actually a pretty simple process. We're all familiar with the Round Hill development. There's 3 lots that are still buildable in that development, and that the builder has changed. They have come in and asked for some minor amendments to the previous approved site plan, and I'll go through the 4 requests that they have, which are outlined in your packet. One is to reconfigure the sidewalk and the shared parking on the north side of Round Hill Court, which is removing a very small portion, but then also doing a connection of the existing sidewalk over to the general guest parking lot area that they have in that development. The other piece is to provide an accurate depiction of the built locations on units 1 through 4 and 8 through 10. Previously, the houses that were built, and we'll talk about this in a minute, they were supposed to be built on a footprint, not within a foot envelope. Some of them are off a little bit, so this will allow us to actually change the site plan to accurately depict what's actually been built in that development. Adding a fence behind lot 7 and 8, that's at the top of that very large retaining wall. That fence has actually already been constructed, so this is to amend the site plan to include that. And then the biggest ask is actually removing the footprint requirements for the remaining 3 lots and allow them to build within a foot or a buildable envelope, which would just have them adhere to the setback requirements for the lot. It wouldn't constrain them to build on a particular footprint.
What are the setbacks?
It depends on the lot. I think Eric, you know them off the top of your head. They're in our packet. It just depends on the lot and the way topography. I think they show, because they're part of the envelope, shows exactly where each lot, the envelope shows the setbacks.
Are they similar to what they were originally before they went to the envelope?
They're very.
Because I know originally it was a lot, then he built outside of the lot, so it went to an envelope.
And
Now
it
we're gonna go
wasn't,
back to
it wasn't a lot before, it was a footprint. So they, which is crazy to me, that they got a PUD approved with an actual footprint of a condo that they were going to put in there. And then what would happen is you came to buy a condo and you said, you know what, I want a 3-stall garage and I want a deck out the back. And the minute the builder would do those, and the minute they did those, they were in violation of their PUD because it was outside of the footprint. So what this does is it gives them a bigger envelope. because it's not just the footprint, but it gives setbacks that are appropriate with, Eric, you can tell me if I'm wrong, with the retaining wall, with the water, sewer, all of the stuff that's going on in there. It gives them setbacks and allows them to build within a footprint.
I hear what you're saying, Wendy, but originally
Mhm.
it was set up the way we're looking to change it to now. And they went over the setbacks. And so that's when we fixed that problem by going to the envelope. So what I'm saying is when we're going back to setbacks, I just want to make sure that somebody looked at this and we don't keep on making it bigger and bigger and bigger because it keeps toggling back and
I
forth.
don't, unless it was the very original.
It was the very original,
then
and they put a deck on the back of, I don't remember which house it was.
Say that was the problem with, there was
There were a lot of problems.
So the
that was-
request, and I haven't been involved in all the conversations, but the request is because of partially what you just mentioned, that people wanted to put on decks and they were prohibited, so they did it anyway. That's where we're actually adjusting the site plan to actually go ahead and reflect what's there. But then also this envelope allow them to build those decks within that and to look at all of those
I think
structures.
what the
So the
planning
10
commission might have referred to as setbacks were actually a footprint. They were not an envelope. They were a footprint of what, because based on the original PUD, it was made for a footprint of a condo that was put in there.
I think that was the second version. The first version, I don't think had the footprint. I think that was
So-
the solution to the problem.
to go back to the question that was asked though, the side setbacks are 10 and the front and back setbacks are 25. And these envelopes all reflect the correct setbacks. That would be inclusive of decks and the house.
And I just want to clarify something you just said, because we asked a front setback question at the planning commission meeting, and the front setbacks based on the
Wait.
PUD are actually 0.
Sorry, you're correct.
So the deck to the back lot line is 20,
I think you said 25.
25 from the deck,
Correct.
The rear is 25 and the side is 10.
the building or the deck?
Whatever.
The deck counts as the part of the
That
building.
counts.
I think that's great.
Trustee Nordyke?
I'd make a motion to
Jay,
approve it.
one moment, sorry. Jay, do you know who the current developer is?
I don't even know if they're
They're not
here because
here.
I have not met them, but Finco LLC.
Is it different than the original developer?
Wait, are
No,
you talking?
the developer, sorry.
Yeah. Well,
The developer, I believe, is the same. The builder is different.
okay, thank you.
By developer, you mean investor.
I mean, yeah, I'm just trying, who is the builder?
It's not, so
It's not the same builder.
no, and
Thank
that
you.
was one of the things at the planning commission, we talked to the investor.
Yep.
There, the investor, we asked, they had fired the original builder who, and I had said even as a planning commission member, we had a lot of problems with the original builder. He would stand in front of the planning commission and contradict himself as he was speaking to us about things that he was doing or
Was
wanting.
not a good faith actor.
No. And
Who,
he actually, the investor disclosed, which I'm disclosing again, it was a public meeting, it's recorded, that of, I think, the 7 condos that are built there, I think every one of them has a lawsuit against the original builder as well, not
Okay.
just everything else. It's the poor residents that actually bought homes are having issues with him too. So they've understood that. He is completely out of the picture. The 7 residents that are there bought into a condo thinking there would be 10 homes that they would share association fees and all of that with. That was one of my main concerns, was the residents that did purchase in here, to make sure that we allowed them, if able, which it looks like everything is working out well, to allow them to do the 3 last homes so that they have a full association, which is what they had planned to have.
who is the new builder?
We don't.
Is anyone related to the applicant here tonight?
We have a mystery builder.
We know who it's not. That's all we know.
That's good.
That's probably what's important.
Well, I think the bigger emphasis is we're good on our end within the process internally.
Based upon everything that's been brought forward with the knowns and unknowns, but what is just and not unjust, I make a motion to approve the resolution 011-2026.
Support.
It's a motion by trustee Shipley, supported by trustee Rizzi, to approve the resolution introducing the ordinance amending ordinance number 1 of 1980 as presented. Clerk Slater, please call the roll.
Trustee Rissy,
Yes.
trustee Nordhook,
Yes.
treasurer Corstange,
Yes.
trustee Norddyke,
Yes.
trustee Shipley,
Yes.
clerk Slater, yes, and supervisor Lesbrunz.
Yes, motion carried. Next item of new business, resolution 012-2026. Consider approval authorizing the Kent County Sheriff's Department to enforce all general law ordinances adopted by the Township Board, and also direct the clerk to provide written confirmation to the 63rd District Court. Manager Smith, an overview, please.
Yes, thank you, Supervisor. So this was brought to our attention by our community, our sheriffs, deputies, that through working with the recent solicitation ordinance that we updated last year, it brought it to the attention of the court. Somebody at the court noticed that there was nothing on file that showed that the deputies could act on behalf of the township and enforce our ordinances. We weren't the only one. Ada also got the nice love letter. So what this is cleaning some things up that require the board to give approval to our deputies to actually enforce all of our general law ordinances. I have a form letter that's ready to go to the court upon the board's approval.
Does it change our day-to-day activities or process?
It does not.
And it doesn't change our relationship that we previously had with the sheriff. This is exactly what they were doing for us before.
I don't even think the sheriff's office knew that it didn't exist because they were doing what we asked them to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there a difference in cost?
No.
Thank you.
Since we already have an additional car from the sheriff department, and this cleans up some loose ends, I make a motion to approve resolution 012-2026, authorizing Kent County Sheriff Department to enforce all general laws of the township.
Support.
It's a motion by trustee Shipley, supported by treasurer Corstange, to approve the authorization of the Kent County Sheriff's Department to enforce all the general law ordinances adopted by this board, and also to direct the clerk to provide written confirmation of same to the 63rd District Court. Clerk Slater, please call the roll.
Treasurer Corstange.
Yes.
Trustee Shipley,
Yes.
trustee Norddyke,
Yes.
trustee Nordhook,
Yes.
trustee Rissy,
Yes.
clerk Slater, yes, supervisor Lesbrunz.
Yes, motion carried. 2026 Independence Day activities, specifically the approval of the 2026 Independence Day celebration, including funny business entertainment contract not to exceed $61,818.75. We have facilities and
Parks and facilities.
Parks and Facilities Director Dan Swick here. Walk us through that.
How we doing? So what we're bringing you tonight is we have our Independence Day celebration. And what we have is, some money set aside for printing for 6 deputies for the fireworks, which we share with Ada, for Funny Business, who they do the community event. And then we have some contingency in there. One thing that I would like to mention is that when we put the RBA together, there's a little bit of a difference in the total price. So $57,375. It's really $58,875, is because the fireworks came in a little higher than we thought they were going to come after talking with Ada. So they have a little contingency in there. I think, Lorna, you said that the budget was $65,000, so we're covered there. So it's pretty cut and dry.
And Funny
Anybody have
Business-
any questions?
Funny Business is who we've used for.
Yes, many years.
Just a quick comment before. I did talk with the manager and Ada, and we did talk about making the fireworks a little bit bigger this year because of the semi-quincentennial. It's a hard one to get out sometimes.
Yeah.
But because of that, this year we did decide to spend the extra $1,500 on a larger fireworks show.
Do it.
Or we're recommending that.
And Who would like to be the curmudgeon that shoots that down? The anti-American.
That was going to be my question. So thank you. Yes. With that, I make a motion to approve it.
Support.
It's a motion by trustee Shipley, supported by trustee Rizzi, supported by trustee Shipley, to approve the Independence Day activities contract not exceeding $61,818.75. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Let's party.
2026 Local Roads Program with Kent County Road Commission, specifically considering approval of issuance of work orders to enter into a cost-sharing agreement with the Kent County Road Commission, completing the proposed road improvement projects, and approving the budget amendment as presented in the request for board action in this packet, 2026 fiscal year budget. Manager Smith, is there anything you want to say before we turn it over to Engineer Thorne?
No, Eric can handle it.
So this is the annual program that we split 50-50 cost for local road resurfacing with Kent County Road Commission. They continue to offer a 50-50 cost share with us. The infrastructure subcommittee has looked over the scope of roads that's included here already, and that's how we've gotten to the point where we're at. It includes about a half mile of chip seal and then 1.64 miles of full depth mill and fill for road overlays. That's only roughly $375,000 of the proposed $550,000 budget on the year, as well as it includes about 4 3/4 miles the rest of the Burger Plat, which is the neighborhood that was disturbed from the water main extension. That includes that neighborhood and Thornapple River Drive as well. And that comes from a separate pool of money. That was from a county agreement, county grant agreement that we had with them. And that is so much as described in the RBA. But other than that, if I had to say anything, it's that Cascade Township has what are probably the best roads in all of Michigan as far as a local municipality goes. I included a table in the RBA just for your perusing. The average road for a local municipality like Cascade Township is about a 5.5 out of 10 if you use Pacer scale, which is just a visual rating of the surface of the road. Cascade Township, as of the last year, is 7.7. You get through this program this year, it could very well be an 8, which is just really simply unheard of. And it's contributed really to, if you look at our overlay program, we do a full mill and resurface. We don't take off an inch and put back an inch. We don't do a lot of chip seal or crack seal, or not that those aren't valuable, treatments in a asset management program, but the way the board has approached doing roads in Cascade Township is proper rebuild, frankly. And it started 7-8 years ago in Cascade Springs, Cascade Woods area. And if you look at the Pacer map, it's still a bright green area. Those roads have held up, and every other road we've built ever since has held up. And Kent County Road Commission will tell you the same thing. They'll commend us for our partnership with them, and they'll tell you they're the best roads in Kent County. Any questions, I'm happy to take them. But like I said, we're under budget this year for overlays for that reason.
I have just one question.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple questions, but Oliver Woods Court and Oliver Woods Drive within the Oliver Woods Plat, those are not private roads, are they?
They're public roads.
They're public.
Yes. Yep.
Contrary to some notices that have come out that that's a private road subdivision, it's actually a plat with public roads.
As far as those two roads are concerned, Oliver Woods Drive and Oliver Woods Court are public roads. If there are sections thereof that are private, they would not be paved as part of this. I can assure you, I've never seen the county give charity. Yeah, no, it would get caught very soon.
All right, thanks. And the only other question, I think I have two questions. Thornapple River Drive. You're talking the north-south section of Thornapple River Drive, not the east-west section that was just tore up recently.
We're talking east-west. We're talking Thorn Hills to Cascade Road, the windy section that will go past the park.
So we're talking both of them then,
because
Yeah, so I can preface that with Thorn Hills, Thornapple River Drive from 28th Street South down to 36.
That's a
County, that's a county trunk line. They're doing it this year.
Okay. But
We
the
don't
one-
participate in that cost.
But the one that was just recently part of the newest water extension that has weird sections off to the side, that's being redone.
They're both being redone for all intents, yeah.
Thanks.
questions, additional discussion, motions?
Make a motion to approve the cost sharing agreement with Kent County for the roads.
Support.
It's a motion by trustee Rizzi, supported by trustee Shipley to approve the work orders entering into the cost sharing agreement with the Kent County Road Commission for the fiscal year 2026 budget as proposed. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Eric. Last item of new business. Subsection E, reinstatement of the private streets ordinance number 9 of 2002 and also the subdivision ordinance number 5 of 2023. Specifically, consider the approval of the resolution 013-2026, introducing an ordinance to reinstate the private streets ordinance number 9 of 2002, and also consider the approval of the resolution 014-2026, introducing the ordinance to reinstate the subdivision ordinance number 2003. Manager Smith, before we have Attorney Homier walk us through this, is there anything you'd like to add? Or speak?
Yeah, I can. In the executive summary, you'll see that I've got a pretty big typo there. I can't see into the future and see what you're going to do on March 19th. That date is supposed to be February 17th. Obviously, when the ordinance was adopted on the 11th of February, we received the notice of intent on February 17th. And that has now put us in the situation where we need to reinstate the private roads in the subdivision ordinance because they were actually rescinded and they were part of the ordinance that was adopted that is on hold right now. So if there's any questions specific about those ordinances, I can answer those. And I don't know if Mike has more to add.
Attorney Homier, do you want to-
No, I think you stated it perfectly. These provisions were incorporated into the new zoning ordinance because it's suspended by operation of law. When the notice of intent was filed, they should be reinstated to cover that gap, and they will remain in effect until the new ordinance were to take effect. If it doesn't, they would remain in effect anyways. And then the board would have to deal with, you would revert to your existing ordinance now, which is still in effect.
Should we just wait a week and see if that thing goes, get their signatures?
No,
That's not how it works.
we've been waiting way too long. You can't kick the can down the road anymore without the grenade falling out.
Huh.
Shipley makes a motion to approve the resolution reinstating private street ordinance as proposed in order to clean up the legal aspects of the referendum that is currently ongoing.
Support.
It's a motion by trustee Shipley, supported by trustee Rizzi, to approve the reinstatement of the private streets ordinance number 9 of 2002 and also the subdivision ordinance number 5 of 2023 as presented.
Just a point of clarification. I think you have to take 2 votes on this. It's 2 roll call votes.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I think his motion was just for the private street part.
Yes.
Private streets. So take off the subdivision part, but again, that was trustee Shipley, supported by trustee Rizzi.
Correct.
Clerk Slater, please call the roll.
Trustee Nordhook,
Nay.
trustee Nordike,
No.
trustee Rissy,
Yes.
trustee Shipley,
Yes.
treasurer Correspondent,
Yes.
clerk Slater, yes, supervisor Lesperance.
Yes, motion carried. Additional discussion or motions for the same for the subdivision ordinance number 5 of 2023.
Shipley makes a motion to approve the resolution 01-2026 and introducing an ordinance to reinstate the subdivision ordinance number 5 of 2003.
Support.
Ordinance number 5 of 2003.
Just
23.
He's
23.
motion by trustee Shipley, supported by trustee Rizzi to reinstate the subdivision ordinance. quick question or discussion. What happens if these two were not reinstated? What's the practical ramifications, given where we're at right now with the approval of the new zoning, then the referendum that's in process?
So it depends on the timing of it. The short of it is you would not have these ordinances in place, and the new zoning ordinance covering these topics is also not in effect. And so you would have a gap with respect to subdivisions and private roads.
Which means what, practically speaking, for someone who wants to come in and build a subdivision, or someone who wants to come in and build a private road and applies at the township when we're without any ordinance?
Yeah, you don't have those regulations.
Does that mean that they can't do it, or they can do anything they want?
No, they could probably do it because you don't have regulations covering it. These are police power ordinances, not zoning ordinances right now. That's the way they were structured. They're being incorporated into your zoning ordinance. So
wait, so these right now, prior to our time, they were police power ordinances?
correct.
That's why we had to repeal them.
So when we took a bunch of heat from somebody in the real estate industry, talking about how much bigger and more regulatory we made our zoning ordinance, it was really, Jay, this is more of a question for you. We put in, which should have been done but wasn't, both the subdivision ordinance and the private street ordinance, incorporated that into the zoning ordinance, correct?
That's correct.
So if you're just talking thickness of paper,
Yes.
that would explain the additional thickness of paper.
Some of it. Sure.
Well, I think it was for a visual effect.
Yes, I understand, but yes, there would be more paper.
Can I ask a question? So when if this passes, when does it go back into effect?
Well, you wouldn't consider it for adoption until March 25th.
Okay. And then is it immediate, or is there a notice period?
It again would take effect upon publication of the notice of adoption.
Okay.
So, and that would have to be published within 30 days of the adoption in March.
Okay.
Mike, as legal counsel who represents the best interests of this township as a whole, what's your recommendation as far as reinstating these tonight or not?
Well, remember, this is just a resolution introducing, so you'll have the opportunity to revisit it for adoption on the 25th. So whatever, depending on the timing, or depending on whether or not the zoning ordinance is going to go on the ballot, then that's going to give some direction by March 25th, because that ballot's not going to be until August at the earliest.
We did have a motion, sorry. Shipley, supported by Reese.
Yep.
Thank you. Clerk Slater, please call the roll.
Treasurer Corstange.
Yes.
Trustee Shipley.
Yes.
Trustee Rissy.
Yes.
Trustee Nordike.
No.
Trustee Nordhook.
Nay.
Clerk Slater, yes. Supervisor Westmans.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you, Mike. Having no items for discussion this evening, now is the time for public comments on any subject matter, whether it was discussed tonight at the board level or not. Please limit your time to 3 minutes for the fairness of everybody in the township, and also state your name and address for record keeping.
Good evening. My name is Kenneth Carey. I live at 2920 Drive. I want to address a problem that I incurred back in 2014, I believe. It was the previous board. It was the previous planning director that caused me just unbelievable damage, which I'm actually experiencing today. For one thing, it took a 6-year lawsuit. I'd like to remind people of the audience here that anytime legal counsel talks about a civil remedy, the civil remedy is coming out of your pocket, and it's going to involve years and years of your life. This is what a 6-year lawsuit looks like. This is at the hands of Stephen Peterson against counsel. I don't know whether you've ever met Clifford Bloom. Like you have. He's a super attorney in the field of drainage. He was actually under contract through Cascade Board. Steve Peterson went against his advice, allowed another home to go into the summit, And the consequences are just unbelievable. When Clifford found out what happened, he was out of his mind, mad. He couldn't believe that they allowed another property to go in after all the problems that residents down below the summit have incurred since that development went in. It was unbelievable. So, like I said, problems are I'm experiencing today. As a matter of fact, when they were pulling this last tree out, which the estimates were over 20 grand to remove it from my backyard, 2 more trees had fallen down while they were taking this tree out. So I would invite board members to just visit my property, take a look at what's going on. Bad decisions by the planning directors can have, I estimate my legal fees were $150,000, including engineering fees, which I was extremely lucky. My employer paid everything, including my engineering fees. But the general public doesn't have it. Steve had made the comment, go ahead and do whatever you want to do building this home. He doesn't have the money to sue you. Well, I didn't need the money, but it took 6 years of my life. And one other issue I wanted to bring up is the transitional use language ordinance that I emailed every one of you. I would urge you to look at that information again. And, you know, I'd like a answer on whether that is still in effect or it has been discarded, because it has consequences to my property. Thank you.
Hello, Josh again. Do you come here often? Benjamin Franklin famously remarked at the Constitutional Convention that while he didn't approve parts of that document, he would sign it anyways because he realized he wasn't infallible and he expected no better. In January, a member of this board stated that they agree with 90% of the new zoning ordinance, the result of years of hard work, and voted no anyways. That 10% has led us now to tonight, an emergency reinstatement of old rules because the petition stalled in the process. This is what happens when political theater and special interest pressure from realtors and developers override the common sense need for a functional framework. The opponents of the ordinance claim they need more affordable options, but we know the subtext. They want to maximize density at the expense of space, the trees, the very character that makes Cascade valuable. We cannot rush into our future with data centers while being dragged back into the 70s. I find it incredibly telling and frankly shameful to watch trustees use this room before a meeting to sign a petition against their own board's years of work. It is a display of immense bias that proves they are not here for the 2024 master plan, but instead are acting as ground troops for the special interests looking to dismantle it. Finally, as a veteran who spent 20 years in service, I asked the township to be cognizant of those for whom the booms of the July 4th celebrations carry a different weight due to the noise of armed conflict. When you stand up to special interests like the Ford International Airport, another lawsuit, unfortunately, political discourse becomes untenable. Zoning and data centers will be the Ford 2.0 unless we work together for our community and not special interest. I heard many realtors and developers on that last meeting we had. Look around. Wow, no one here like the last time. Not like January, not like last month. Citizen is a verb. Part-time participation in the democratic process is non-negotiable. Where are those citizens now? Where are they? They're not here. Probably because they weren't citizens. They were special interests of realtors and developers looking to make a buck on Cascade and leave us hanging dry. You talked about that tonight with the Sentinel PUD, and the gentleman before me talked about it with his lawsuit. My friends didn't die in the war for special interest. They died in the war for democracy. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm just curious why the lights on Old 28th Street are on during the daytime in the park. I sent an email a few weeks back and they're still on during the day. I know we have a good amount of money, but as far as I know, they're not solar powered. They're electrical and we have to pay for that. So if we can turn those off, that'd be great. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Well, you haven't heard from me in a while, so I thought it's about time for me to say something. In the scheme of things, this is not going to be that significant, but I'm sure there will be public hearings about the park. And my only concern right now is that we paid for a brick to go around what is it called?
Splash pad?
That. So I'm assuming that those bricks will be retained.
Good.
So something to just put out there. And in terms of lights being on, I just kind of wish that the lights on the bridge during Christmas stayed on during the day. But that's it.
Thank you. Any other public comments, whether in person or virtually? Mike, Wes, and John, you guys have the brick directive. So whoever, that's on your plate. Manager comments.
Thank you, Supervisor. Just two quick things. One, I want to remind everybody on behalf of Dan, the Easter egg hunt is March 28th, Rec Park at 10 o'clock. So be there, be square. I think they've got 17,000 eggs stuff so far. Yeah, so it's going to be pretty fun. And then in regards to Tassel Park, appreciate all the comments tonight. Also just want to address anything like bricks, donation items, the statues, the art, anything that was donated in that park will be reincorporated into it. So I think that we kind of talked over that.
Good. Board comments, Trustee Shipley?
Of course. Thanks for coming, Grocers. All three Kens are here. Josh, Major, U.S. Army, Scott, and Jeff. I've been in a lot of countries around the world where this would never happen. People raising up and saying, wait a minute, I disagree, I want a voice in this project or that project would have never happened. You out here are a symbol of democracy, and I appreciate you being here. Whether I agree with you personally or not, that doesn't matter. Like I said, if you kick a can too far down the road, as our little friends in a Southeast Asian country found out, a grenade could pop out of it. So let's not postpone the inevitable. And we know that there's other players. The state of Michigan is still considering changing some of the rules in which we do our zoning ordinances. We have a referendum going right here. We've heard from people. We've had public presentations. We can only kick this so far down the road and take that back to the Grand Rapids Realtors Association if you want.
Trustee Nordyke.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I have a few things. Eric, 8 on the Pager scale, that would be pretty darn amazing. So that just nice work. To quote our governor, you fixed the damn roads. So the park looks awesome, guys. Thank you for your efforts. One thing that I will say that I would ask everybody who's involved with the parks, and it hits on what Jade said. The original landowners placed, I don't know, is it a stone, Scott? What is it? At any rate, the placement's important because that's where the front door of those cabins were. You're nodding, so you know. That's wonderful. And then the last thing I have, like John, I love democracy. I think I've been clear on my position on the zoning. This board, I think, in the 10 years I've been involved with Cascade, this has been the largest issue that has come in front of this board. It's just my opinion. And because I love democracy, I signed the petition tonight because I feel that it's important for the citizens to decide what's right for Cascade. We came to a 4-3 decision. That was tight. So let's see what the citizens do and what they come back with. And that's why I supported it. Thank you.
Trustee Rizzi.
Let's see. There we go. I believe Mr. Dion talked about the fish ladder tonight at the dam. And so I was just going to mention that the fish ladders at both the Cascade and Ada dams were filled with concrete around, I want to say it was like the late 40s, early 50s, because it was deemed that they did not work. They were not designed properly. And so they are not, they're not really able to become functional any longer. And then Scott, I appreciate you keeping track of the street lights and letting us know about that so we can get that addressed. And as far as the bricks at the park, I think we should try and sell more of those bricks and get some new names out there for the next generation of residents. And then the last thing I wanted to mention was regards to the petition. I guess there's a couple petitions circulating, is my understanding, but the one related to the zoning, not the data center one. I guess my view was, being in this country, one of the most precious rights we have is the right to vote. And whether you're in support of the new zoning or not in support of the new zoning, to have the people be able to make that choice, I think is fantastic. And like Chris just highlighted, it was a pretty split decision up here. And I think if we get the people involved, my guess is that that'll draw a pretty good line in the sand. So I think that's an excellent opportunity, and I don't think it means any disrespect to anyone. It just gives the power to the people. Thank you.
Trustee Nordic.
Yeah, I agree with that. As an American, it's one of the constitutional rights I have is to sign a petition if I feel that that's what I want. I do want to bring this back to the people. There was a lot of things that we wanted to change, but we weren't allowed to. It was a 4-3 vote to say no to this. So let the people make a decision, and I'll maintain my constitutional rights.
Clerk Slater.
No comments.
Treasurer Corsange.
Yeah, just two things. One, Mr. Dion that spoke about the fish ladder. One of the things I think that Dan and Jade has talked about and the board has talked about previously that you might not have heard too is that I think one of the plans once the park is done too is to work with the DNR to do some sort of fish stocking within the river, whatever they would allow, whatever they would do. We know they fund some of that and they're looking for other opportunities, and a lot of the local schools, the elementary schools, participate in that with the fish release. And it's just another exciting way to get the local kids involved in that, to be able to let them go release fish into the river and then potentially in the future to be able to go there and do some fishing. So that is something that I think that staff has been looking at to see what we can do to collaborate with the DNR to be able to do those things. And then the second thing was, I just have a question. I think that it's come up a lot. Not a lot. It's come up a couple meetings ago, maybe the last meeting that I wasn't at, but I listened to, and then it's come up online. I just want to know, when we talk about the data center subcommittee, are those going to be public meetings that are posted for public to attend and to hear?
I believe they have to follow the Open Meetings Act, but I'm not sure. Because it was official subcommittee set by the board. I'll turn to Mr. Homier on that.
Yeah, I mean, to the extent that there are two issues. Either you can make them public meetings, open to the public, if you're required to follow the Open Meetings Act, or if it doesn't constitute a quorum. And in this case, probably wouldn't, because they're just bringing back all of the suggestions. The subcommittees are kind of strange in terms of the Open Meetings Act, and there's a very fine line between simply a recommending body that gathers all of the information and then brings it back to, say, the board for a decision, versus eliminating choices in the meantime, thereby making decisions under the Open Meetings Act. So we tend to be more conservative and say we're just going to open them to the public, notice them accordingly, and then not have to worry about Open Meetings Act issues.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because I know it's been brought up a couple times that I want to hear. what's being discussed at those meetings. And I know the zoning subcommittee meetings were posted online, and we had several members of the community that showed up to every one of those. So I just wanted to know, just so the public does understand, whether those data center subcommittee meetings will be open to the public, and whether they can, when they can start looking on the website and the calendar to see when those are posted and when they'll be.
In 2021, we looked at having these meetings publicly, virtually available, and then also you could go back and watch them. We put all that stuff in. Part of it was we reviewed the policy, the subcommittee policy that the board adopted, and we put in that policy that all subcommittees will be will comply with the OMA. I know we had those discussions, but we are on the side of complying with the OMA, which means
Okay. Just
Yeah,
want to
and
make sure
and
so everybody knows to look out for them.
Yeah, and this is not, at least in my view, the subcommittee is not taking the place of the planning commission, because the planning commission ultimately is going to have to consider whatever proposed amendments on the zoning and land use side for data centers, the regulatory effect, and then make a recommendation back to the board. Now, the board can certainly, and the function, I think, of this subcommittee is to propose recommendations to the board that the board can then send to the planning commission and ask them for a recommendation on those.
That's it. I just want to thank all the feedback from residents that we've gotten on the extending Tuffy and incorporating Castle Park. All the feedback we've had both tonight at the open house and just over the last, I guess, year and a half, as those plans have kind of changed. Appreciate that. And then as far as the referendum, I agree the residents should decide, I guess, from the vantage point of hearing all the different talking points. I just think it's important that the residents get accurate information about what the real issues are. And when you've got someone who, or a group of PAC that then hires a professional PR firm, a professional lawyer, and also a professional signature gatherers, some of the narrative I've heard, including by some of the emails put out by a couple of trustees about the concerns being no data center protection, when in fact this board just passed a moratorium on that, and cutting down trees and goats, those are all fig leaves. That's not the real issue. The real issue is density. The people who are motivated and coming out and hiring the professionals and getting together in a political path, the issue is density. The issue is preserving the rural character east of Buttrick. How dense do you want to allow it? The issue is how large of apartment complexes do you want to have, even if it's closer to the expressway, which we did increase that by quite a bit, but it wasn't enough for certain developers. And the other issue is what the village core is going to look like. And those loudest, those pushing the agenda, it's not about goats, it's not about trees, it's not about the concern, a real concern about data center, it's about density. And what the loudest voices want is large apartment complexes in the village area, that Chowhound area. They want drive-through restaurants. You can have that up and down 28th Street, but what they didn't like is hearing no to that village core. So it's really going to be an issue for residents to decide. I'm not pushing it. I'm one of 7. We all do the best we can, and we make our positions clear. I've been very clear about what my position is, and if the residents disagree with it, then so be it. That's your vote. But I think the concerning thing is seeing what the issues stated are not the issues. This issue is about density and what you want Cascade to look like. So I think the sooner you start having real conversations about what the real issues are, it'll go a lot further to when it is on the ballot for residents making up their minds. But in the meantime, we're not shoving it down anyone's throat, but don't try to pretend it's about goats and data centers and trees, especially when you sat on a subcommittee for 21 plus meetings, came up with it all. And then you get a little pressure from some very, very loud people in the real estate industry with vested financial interests, and you cave. But I look forward to the public discussion and having an open, honest discussion about the real issues and what residents want for Cascade and what they don't want. That being said, next closed session, Article 15, and this would be pursuant to MCL 15.268, Section 81E of the Open Meetings Act, consulting with the Township Attorney on litigation, specifically Blosser versus Cascade. Clerk Slater, is there a motion to enter closed session?
Shipley makes a motion to enter into closed session.
Support.
Clerk Slater, please call the roll.
Trustee Nordhook,
Yes.
trustee Nordike,
Yes.
trustee Rissy,
Yes.
trustee Shipley.
Yes.
Treasurer Corstone,
Yes.
Clerk Slater, yes, Supervisor Leskins.
Yes, we are now in closed session.
Make a motion to return to open session.
Support. It's a motion by Clerk Slater, supported by Trustee Nordhook, to return to open session. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are back.
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
Motion by Clerk Slater, supported by Trustee Nordhook to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Opposed? We are adjourned.
9:20.